Hi everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. I am. It's sunny outside. Anytime there's sun in the winter, it's a good day, right? Well, yeah, I was going to say so long as it's not snowing, but snow comes on cloudy days, pretty much like rain. So yeah, you wouldn't be getting snow if it was sunny outside. Anyhow, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I feel is not only important but dear to my heart, and that is volunteering. Volunteering your time. And when a lot of times when I talk to people about volunteering, they'll just say, "Oh, I'm too busy and I don't have time." And I feel like a lot of people look at it as if it's kind of a second job, like something they don't necessarily want to do and that will take up a lot of their time. But I am here to tell you that's not true. There are so many volunteer opportunities out there for just about anything you'd like to do. And volunteering doesn't mean you're showing up somewhere to help out every day. I mean, it can if that's what you want to do, but a lot of places need help like maybe an hour a week, or even as little as 2 or 3 hours a month. They just need, that little bit extra. And like I said, there's so many opportunities out there. And now, in today's day and age, you can also do remote volunteering and virtual volunteering. And what that means is if you live really far out, in a remote or rural area, or you don't drive, or you're disabled, or whatever, you can't get out of your house very often, you can still help somebody. Isn't that wonderful? There's several, actually more than several, there's quite a few volunteer opportunities where you can do it straight from home, right off of your computer or your phone. So, and a lot of the times it's listening to people. People need people. And as much as we seem connected, sometimes we're not. But anyhow, let me tell you about some of the opportunities and ways for you to find these opportunities in your community. So I wrote some of them down, and I'm going to have all sorts of links down in the description box so you can go and check it out for yourself and see if you can find a good match for you. Okay, here's one of the first ones I hit websites, which was really awesome, is called Volunteer Match. And you can put your zip code in there and they will give you tons of volunteer opportunities in your area. Now, if you live in a city or near a city or you're in the suburbs, there's going to be probably a decent amount. But I believe it's on this website, but I also saw it on others where you can put in there however many miles you're willing to go. So I think the default on this one is 5 miles, but you can go 10 miles, 20 miles, whatever you want to do. If there's not very many opportunities that look appealing to you that are really close to home, then you could always up the miles and then more will open up to you that way. But here are just a few that I found on that site. Now this is one of the virtual ones I was talking to you about. A crisis counselor. It goes nationwide. So if you're living in California, you could end up taking calls from people in New York or Connecticut. But this isn't phone calls. This particular crisis is all text. Can you believe that? All texting. So people will text in, you know, whatever their crisis is, whatever it is they're going through at the moment. And you can give them resources. You can be that listening ear they really, really need. You know, you can get them the help that they're searching for. You can help bring them from being up here really, really upset to hopefully down here and calmed a little bit, and you can really help somebody. So that's one of them. Needless to say, on this one, but also on a whole bunch of other ones, are animal shelters. Always looking for volunteers. Always, always looking for them. And in fact, there's one I'm going to be volunteering myself at, but only twice a month. Still, you know, and it's a no-kill shelter. And a lot of those could really use the help. They don't get much funding beyond private donations. And along the same lines of the animal shelter, there are a lot of programs out there for you to bring your pets to people. You know, share a little good cheer. People love seeing animals. And it's not just cats and dogs. I mean, they even take gerbils. So there are several of them where you would visit people in the hospital, nursing homes, maybe even rehab centers, places like that where they would really truly appreciate seeing your lovable furry friend. And then we have, along the lines of that, there are quite a few hospice centers looking for volunteers. Now that could be a hard one to do, but it's rewarding. I mean, people coming at the end of their lives truly do need a friend, someone to talk to. And you know, if you have any kind of skills, like not like sewing or crocheting, because some of the people like to do that, someone they can do that kind of stuff with. But it could even just be playing cards or reading to them or taking a walk, just being there for someone. And there are a lot of hospices that need volunteers, so that's definitely something to consider. Then we have Children's Hospital. We have a large children's hospital here, and you could be doing anything. You could be playing with the kids, you could be getting them stuff, you could be reading to them, a lot of different activities as far as children go. Then we have, oh, this is a good one, tutoring kids. I remember years ago, quite a few years ago, because my son was in kindergarten, I volunteered to do reading, and that's on here as well, but it was adult reading. And so this was for people that either English wasn't their first language, or they hadn't gotten much schooling and were very poor readers, and they needed the help. It's pretty hard to advance in this world without being able to read. And at first I didn't think I would do very well at it, because especially at that time I didn't have a lot of patience, but I found I did once I was doing it, and it was very rewarding. I really enjoyed that time. It was really nice. And one other thing, it's on here, but another thing I did back in those days was volunteering at a food pantry. Those are, you know, it really lets you know how well you have it, you know, when you're packing bags based on families or single people or people that are like homeless, because you can't put anything in a bag that needs a can opener or has to be cooked, you know, for a person that's living on the streets, you know. So it's a couple more. Here's one that I thought was really interesting. This one was looking for volunteers for refugees. And what you do there is you help them to acclimate to this country. and you help with different services. You could, like, say for instance, get them clothing from, an area that has them, go with them to help pick things out for themselves and their families, or things for their home, or get help them to get their kids signed up for school and stuff like that. So that sounded interesting to me as well. And so did this other one. This is it's interesting to me because somebody on Facebook posted a request not too long ago. She lives down in Mississippi, so I couldn't help. But it was a 90-year-old lady friend she had, and she needed to get to the store. And they live really rural, and she couldn't find anybody to take her. And even though she's that old, she's not considered disabled, so there was no programs to help her. Because a lot of people said, well, why doesn't she contact this agency or that agency? And the lady posting it said she had, but because she wasn't disabled, she didn't qualify for any of those programs. And that's a shame. So there are a lot of elderly and disabled people out there where, like, they don't meet the financial guidelines. Like, they make too much. They're not living in poverty as far as it's on paper. Well, not taking into consideration, medication costs and bills and all of that stuff. So they don't qualify for programs, and they can't afford, to pay for this. So this is a service that matches up volunteers to these people. So you could take them to the grocery store, or to pick up their prescriptions, or whatever. So I thought that was really nice. If you got a few hours a month maybe, or 1 or 2 hours a week, you could really be helping someone out with that. There is another website, and that one's called Just Serve, and that has a bunch of different things, and I'm not gonna describe every single one, but I'm just gonna tell you what they are. You got Habitat for Humanity, so that can be anywhere from building new houses, doing repairs on older houses, or working in their restore stores. So all of those would really be a benefit to these people. I saw one cool, well, that's not cool in a good way, statistic for the city of Milwaukee. Now just picture, any nearby city to you. And in Milwaukee, 1 out of 3 people is paying half or more than half for their housing of their income, their monthly income. Isn't that crazy? Holy mackerel. The Red Cross. Now this one sounds good to me. I might think about it. It's home fire and disaster responder. So if there's locally been a house fire, you would show up there, doing anything from, maybe comforting a crying child, to getting them blankets or something to eat, and figuring out where they're going to go, and, stuff like that. And, how you can't put a price tag on something like that. It's really a needed position. Oh, this one was a hospice, but it was it was another one of those do 'em from home things. And this was if you could crochet, knit, sew, or quilt. They wanted blankets. And it's a particular program called Blanket a Day. And because people in hospice, tend to get cold. And then we're in a northern state here, so to provide them with a nice homemade blanket free of charge, I'm sure would, really brighten their day. Then we have another one that I thought was really cool, you guys. It's called Family Search Indexing. And basically, it's another one you do from home from your computer. You're combining all these different records. They would be like birth birth records, marriage records, the census, ship manifests, obituaries. So you're logging them all in, for this one family or this one person, so that down the road when someone is searching for a long lost family member, all these records will come up. So if you're into any kind of history or exploring stuff like that, that would definitely be something you'd maybe want to check out, because I'm kind of nerdy like that, and that sounds like fun to me. And there is, I got to tell you guys this, if you do a search, just go into your search engine there and type in volunteer and then put your state. You'll get all kinds of stuff that come up. And a fun one for me that came up was the DNR. And it's like, well, DNR is not exactly a fun thing, but it is for volunteering, because they have all these opportunities for outdoor volunteering in the state parks, in the state forest, in the nature reserves. So to me, that's fun, and it's not something you would do every day. Sometimes they have certain projects or events, and you could help with that, and you could always bigger volunteer things when there are projects. A lot of times you can bring others with you, so you and your significant other or your best friend or your church group or whatever. So that's something to think about. And then we have the United Way. The United Way has lots of opportunities, and they're not the United Way website. They'll give you a whole bunch of volunteer opportunities to look at that they themselves aren't doing, but it's local businesses and whatever. And I also want to mention that there are so many different opportunities, like office work and computer work and stuff like that, that doesn't interest me at all, but maybe you're skilled in. Lots of those, let me tell you, lots of them. And then oh geez Louise, this one's kind of sad, but also a very needful thing. They have a sexual assault hotline. That's another one where you're going through your phone or through your computer. Then we have, here, the last one I have written down is the Ronald McDonald House. I told you we have that really big children's hospital, but the people that have children in the children's hospital come from all over the state, because that's the biggest hospital in our state. And so the Ronald McDonald House isn't very far from there. And they are looking for volunteers for meal prep. And they also had a listing in there saying that, I'm not sure what you were doing, but they also encouraged small groups of like 4 to 6 people or something. So that would be something nice, if you had a small group that wanted to do something together. The sky is the limit. Just look around and see what you can find. So there you go. That's what I got for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you something to think about. A lot of us volunteer without even really knowing that we do. When my grandma had Alzheimer's and my mom took care of her at home, I was there quite a bit, so my mom could run errands and go on mini vacations and stuff like that. And I didn't think of that as volunteering, but that's pretty much what it was. A lot of us do that kind of stuff. When both my parents were sick, when they were dying, I was there doing things and running around and this and that. That too is a volunteer thing. Nobody forced me to do it. Of course, it's my family, and I'm sure that's how you see it too. But that's what I mean when you're not sure if you could volunteer. Well, it's that kind of attitude. It's like you're there to help, and if you have that helper kind of feeling, then I'm sure somebody could really use you. They could use 2 extra hands. So anyhow, thanks for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Don't forget to check the links down in the description box. It was nice talking to you, and you take care.